So, a couple of weeks ago, this is actually a bit of old news, but we felt like it was such a trending hot topic that we wanted to touch on it since we are huge mental health advocates. So, we're sure by now you all know that the Olympics are currently going on. They started July 23rd and will go through Sunday, August 8th. Um, Last week, there was a whirlwind of news around Simone Biles, a member of the USA gymnastics team. She decided to withdraw from the team event, stating that she was having mental health issues. And so she thought that it would be better for her team and for herself to go ahead and withdraw from the team event. Of course, the entire world, the entire US had a ton of opinions about this. Many people were criticizing her and basically saying that she just wasn't able to hack it. She, talked herself up and then just took the easy way out. And since then, I do want to note that she did return to do her individual category in balance beam, and she actually won the bronze. But we, again, just wanted to run it back to talk about this entire topic and conversation because we thought we actually, when it was happening, had a lot of conversation between ourselves about it. I personally think that what Simone did was extremely brave, and I think that for her own health and safety, it was a smart move. I think that hopefully we see more of this in the future.
Yeah.
Because personally, as an athlete, if you're not mentally there, are you really even doing the team any good at all? I think that there's a lot to be said that, like, you want to physically be at your best, but you also want to mentally and spiritually, just all around, be at your best so that you can perform your best. You can't have something be lagging and expect to perform at your top level. Because let's be real, if Simone had gone through with performing and she didn't do well, guess what people were going to do? Criticize her for not doing well. So it's like, regardless of what she had done in that moment, people were going to criticize her. So it was that she at least got the ridicule for taking care of herself. I don't think that anything is worth your safety and your health. And if that's what you need to do for yourself, who cares what anybody else thinks? And I think that's what she did. Jazz, what are your thoughts?
I am 100% right there with you. You so often, and just even outside of the Olympics, in like injuries, physicality and all that kind of stuff, mental health is not necessarily talked about as a reason why someone might not necessarily be able to perform. It's expected that, well, you need to be able to perform regardless of what's going on outside, because physically you are able and you are capable. And that's just what has been expected for years. And in any sport, it doesn't matter what event or whatever you do. It's just, well, if you can physically do it, why aren't you?
Yeah.
Like, suck it up, put it to the side. Like, yeah. And it's ingrained in us that it's like, yeah, well, I'm taught to put, like, it's teaching us something, like, well, this is part of life, this is what you have.
Building character.
There you go. That's yeah. And no, you can build character in a lot of other ways, in healthier ways. But I do agree, and it's something where, I mean, this is her second time at the Olympics, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't want to. She's like now 24, and she was 18, 19 at that time, 19, roughly, when she was first there. I know for a fact when I was 19 compared to when I was 24, mentally, I was in a completely different place. When I was like 18 or 19, and if I was going to the Olympics, that's probably all that I cared about. That was my priority. That was the only thing that I cared about in the world at that point. I didn't have much else going on or probably to care about outside of that, Right. But here I am now at 24, I'm older. I've got more experience in life and just out in the real world. I've now been exposed to more. I'm probably more educated in matters, which means I probably have a deeper understanding of things, which means I probably feel things a bit deeper and whatnot. So experiencing things and, I don't necessarily want to go into like details, but as you know, there's been a lot of stuff going on in her personal life, family and whatnot that, you know, has been talked about in the public. She does have a lot on her shoulders and a lot that's going on. I cannot at all hold this against her, you know, right. and someone like her, solely just because of the fact that she is she's a celebrity. You know, a lot of these athletes and gymnasts and stuff aren't. Simone is a celebrity, so yeah, naturally there is a bit more of like a limelight and pedestal on her, but I don't think that's different or that's new to her. You know, I don't think that gave her an added pressure. She's used to that. That's normal to her. So because of that and her going through what that is, that's why I feel like people have so much more to say about it, and why it's such a big deal. But honestly, I'm glad, this sounds weird as it's coming out, but I'm glad that it was someone like her or someone with the platform that she does have that had to make this decision for herself, because now there's so many more people who are like watching and who are aware and who are, you know, probably now in more support or like understanding of these kinds of like issues that these young girls are constantly going through and battling.
Absolutely.
So that's my take on that.
Her aunt too passed away during the Olympics, right?
What?
Her aunt, her aunt also passed away.
About that.
Mm-hmm. So that was on top of all of this.
All the other stuff that she's going through.
Yeah. See?
I didn't know that at all, but I mean, that's just, let's add that to it. There were things that I wanted to note. So she's not the only athlete that's recently done this. We all know that Naomi Osaka also withdrew from the French Open and the Wimbledon. And of course, she did make it to the Olympics. So I'm sure she took that time to really just like practice and, you know, get in touch with herself so that she could show up to the Olympics. I'm sure if she hadn't, the Olympics wouldn't have been an option for her. And so I think that it's just awesome to see these women, these athletes be human. Yes. I think that we do a really terrible job at humanizing these people, and we put them on a pedestal and we think that they're like otherworldly and that they don't deal with the same issues that we deal with, but they fight so many. I feel like they're almost fighting more battles, because it's like not only are they an athlete at the top of their, you know, industry or game or whatever they do, but it's like they also have the pressure of people who are mediocre at all the stuff that they do and telling them like, you're not good enough, you're not being good enough. Like they constantly have people just like bashing them, even though they are literally Olympians. She's an Olympian regardless of whether or not she won a medal for the team or actually competed. Let's not forget that she has 7 Olympic medals already, including 4 gold medals, 1 silver medal, and 2 bronze medals. And on top of that, she has in totality 32 medals, like world and Olympic medals.
Let them know. I
think she's okay to have a mental health day. Okay? Like, and I also keep bringing this up, but
all before the age of 24, by the way.
All before the age of 24. But let's also just not even forget the fact, the year and a half that we have had. Like, let's please stop acting as if the world is still normal. We have the Delta variant coming at us stronger than, you know, regular COVID was. And in Tokyo alone, they're rising as the Olympics are happening. You guys remember, we were on here not too long ago talking about, were the Olympics even going to happen because they surge in cases in Tokyo? They're still surging, and they still had the Olympics. Olympians, a pole vaulter, tested positive for COVID right before he was going to do his final jump. They did like a very short time period quarantine for the rest of them, and then we're like, let's get right back to it. You have got to be kidding me. That alone is enough to put me in a mental headspin, because I'm like, I'm supposed to compete, but also everybody's life is at stake. And we have everybody, the top athletes around the world. Everyone is there.
Thank you.
Besides spectators.
Ooh, Tay, you just took us to church with that.
I'm just saying. Like,
I feel you.
You cannot.
I feel like, but I think that is the biggest elephant in the room, is that outside of the Simone Biles situation is literally, we're having the 2020 Olympics in 2021 because of a global pandemic. Like literally everyone.
It's still going on.
Everybody was affected by this. Everyone
people died. People weren't able to see their families. Like, we've not had any real social interaction. You're like, hey, go back to the Olympics.
I'm sure there was people who were supposed to be at the Olympics who probably passed because of COVID. Or how many people who are at the Olympics who have had loved ones pass because of COVID. That's what I'm saying. Like, there's not even, there's a list of things that could be attributed to the state of the mental health of any one of these persons.
I would not be surprised if every single one of them's not battling some kind of mental health issue, regardless if it's COVID or just like the pressure to compete, or it's just, there's a lot going on. I mean, and then Simone Biles, she's got all the other stuff that we know about that she's got going on. It's just like, give the girl a break. She's human. She can only take so much. And then I just want to bring up one last thing, because I saw this on Facebook and I just kind of thought it was disgusting and also like a terrible comparison. But when people were criticizing her, they often compared her to Carrie Strug. Now, if you guys know who Carrie Strug was, she was also on the USA Olympic team back in 1996. She was 18 years old, and she was the woman who, on her first vault, sprained her ankle, injured her ankle. And then they made her go for her second vault on her injured ankle. Now, she landed the vault, got the points, but Carrie Strug never came back. She was absolutely done after that. That is a testament to us prioritizing gold medals, money, and notoriety over human bodies. And Carrie Strug actually commended Simone for putting her mental health and herself over the gold medal and over winning. And I think that this is just like a lesson to be learned, because it's like, I'm sorry, if I'm hurt or injured or whatever, what is a win like really gonna do? Like, I know, even as an athlete myself, I pushed myself through a hamstring injury. And if you guys know anything about track, hamstrings injuries are not good, hard to come back from, and hard to compete on. I was not at my best. I could not have been at my best. And so it was just like, why am I out here? Because we needed the points. But it's like, why put yourself through that? Take the time to heal and come back better. It doesn't make sense.
Like, dude, like, who gets money if you win a medal? Who's the people that get the money if you get a medal?
So it's really more just like let's think of it as like a machine. All of these athletes have sponsors.
Endorsement deals, all these other things.
You know what I'm saying? So if she pulls out, then they're like, oh, well, then our stuff wasn't. It's more of like an all-around thing. I'm not sure how the Olympics work.
But when
I think about it, it's like team scoring. You drop out, now your team's lost those points. They need the points in order to win. I don't know on the Olympic level what it means to win gold as like the USA team, but I'm sure it means something, or else they wouldn't be pushing them so hard to, work through injuries, push through injuries. You know what I'm saying? So it's really just that. I mean, at the end of the day, who knows if there's even money being made when you win a gold for the team?
Right.
Like, they're probably just want the gold so that we are best. And
I think about it like, the whole NCAA thing, like how they just made it so that, athletes can start profiting off of their namesake and whatnot. Yeah. And that's kind of what I think about. Like when you say it's a machine, it's like, so not even really probably directly affecting the person who's doing the hard work.
Yeah.
And literally putting themselves through all of this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like,
I love that for them.
Their bodies, you know what I'm saying?
Love
like
that.
Yeah, it's awesome. You know what? Go you, Simone Biles, and anybody else who wants to come forward and just be like a trailblazer for the mental health, cause. Like,
hey, and you know what? I'm really here for it. And what I really appreciate too is that these are women of color, and we all know that mental health amongst the community of persons of color, especially the Black community, African American community, it's not really there. The conversation's not really there. So hopefully this just continues to build that momentum with, it is okay. It's okay to not be okay. And you, young Black man, it's all right. Get some help. And there's nothing wrong with that.
There's literally nothing wrong with it.
On a similar note related to mental health, you guys, following, we just recently had the 6-month mark of the January 6th insurrection attempt on the Capitol that happened earlier this year. And 2 more officers, I just read yesterday, 2 more officers have died by apparent suicide following those attacks. So in an article that I found on CBS News, Officer Gunther Hashida and Kyle DeFreitag, both long-term vets of the police force, were both found deceased last month in their homes. These were actually two separate instances and occasions. One happened, I believe, earlier in the month, I believe on like the 3rd or 4th of July, and the other one more towards like the middle. And these two officers passing marks actually 4 total deaths by suicide since that day. Brian Sicknick and Howard Liebengood, who were both veterans of the force. I'm talking 12-year and 15-year vets of the force. They passed away by suicide in the days immediately following the attack. And I'm sure that you guys also have heard the trials and all of that have recently been going on and started. Tay, I'll get your take and input in just a second. But a lot of what I've been reading in that same article, many people's accounts, even from the trial, as they're kind of recollecting what happened, a lot of people are relating it to what would be a medieval battle, or just like, imagine kind of like when I hear medieval, I think of like Game of Thrones and just like, just madness,
I mean, they had not a guillotine, but like a noose. I don't know where they do that at anymore.
Yeah. And just, it's, a lot of people said it was something they've never seen before. It's one of the worst experiences of their lives. And it clearly has taken a toll on people who were involved and those who were there to defend. All of these people were there to defend and protect our lawmakers, and look at the toll that it's taken. And then I'm sure following all of the sources and all the people who incited this, those who have incited this have only just continued to like poke the fire and poke the bear, and just, I'm sure those who are, I don't know, because I'm not involved in that world. I'm so sorry to those who are. It's sad, it's dark, it's deep, but they're not kind. And I'm sure they're probably maybe egging these people on, or like, not, I don't know how to explain it. I'm sure these people are probably coming under attack.
I was going to say that.
Or, I was
going to say that. So that was something that I wanted to kind of point out, was that like the most recent suicide happened and they've started the trial. So like some of these officers have testified, and even one of the officers that testified, they're receiving death threats from people who are part of the insurrection. And like, they're calling them awful things. They're leaving voicemails, just basically calling them out of their name for for doing their job at the end of the day. Yeah. Like, if you guys remember, not so long ago, when Trump was president, their entire like campaign was to, like they were trying to keep law and order, they were for the police. But here you are now, and you're sending death threats and calling them the F word and the P word, and just like being horrible to these people that did their job on this day because you didn't get your way. And I think that it's telling. And I think that anybody who can seriously sit here and still think that A, that Trump didn't incite this, and B, that nothing went wrong and had nothing to do with Trump and what he had to say, you're in denial. And you need to wake up. Like,
I mean, the effects are still right here happening and unfolding in front of us. Yeah,
exactly. I mean, if nothing, it's just like, I think that seeing what's happening to these officers, and if you're actually watching the trial, which I haven't, because to be honest, like, I'm very pessimistic about the outcome.
Yeah.
I do not think they're going to do what they're supposed to do. And I think that if they don't, that our way of living, like democracy, is going to be a threat. And I don't want to watch it because I don't want to be upset about it. But I just think that anybody, like, there's so many people that still feel like, oh, it was just a extremist group that wasn't real. Trump didn't do that. But Trump is still sitting here saying that it was a stolen election.
It was rigged, and
they
he
still
won,
have Republicans that are still trying to hold everything up as if that's what happened. I mean, come on, guys.
Yeah. And it's no joke. Like, people's lives are at stake still, and people are being affected by this daily. And we do need to hop into another quick break here, Tay. I'm going to let you outro to that, but before we do that, and to wrap up our combo on mental health, if you or someone you know or love, needs help, or if they feel like they're struggling or they're in a dark place, you can always get help. There's always someone there for you, and you can always call. We have the suicide hotline number here. It's 1-800-273-8255. Take us out.
Yes, let us know what you guys think about both of those hot topics. What do you think about Simone Biles' withdrawal and about the current insurrection trial that's going on? Stay tuned. You guys are listening to The Way with Jazz and Tay.